In sports, a starting lineup is an official list of the set of players who will actively participate in the event when the game begins. The players in the starting lineup are commonly referred to as starters, whereas the others are substitutes or bench players. The starters are commonly the best players on the team at their respective positions. Consequently, there is often a bit of prestige that is associated with being a starter. This is particularly true in sport with limited substitutions like baseball or soccer. In both baseball and basketball, it is common for players' positions to be denoted by a number as well as by a name. In that instance, the associated number is used as well. If a common abbreviation is known, the abbreviation is listed after the associated number. Starting lineup in specific sports. American football. In American football since the 1950s, most upper-level teams use a three-platoon system, each with its own starting lineup. The starting lineups for offense and defense, each with 11 players, typically get the most attention. The starting lineups are defined as the 11 players who take the first offensive or defensive play from scrimmage of a given game. The third platoon, special teams, in modern times is composed mostly of backup and reserve players from the offensive or defensive platoons. With the exception of the place kicker or punter, the players who, for instance, take part in the opening kickoff are typically not considered starters. Offense. The offensive lineup is heavily restricted by rules that have been adopted over the course of the game's development. Several positions are mandatory and must appear in any lineup, starting or otherwise. Others can be used or unused at the discretion of a team's coach, provided that no more than 11 players are on the field at any given time. QB, quarterback, effectively mandatory. RB, running back. In a standard formation, there are two, the halfback and the fullback. Both positions are optional. C, center, mandatory. LG, RG, left and right guards on either side of the center, mandatory. LT, RT, left and right tackles on either end of the five-man offensive line, mandatory. Tight end, optional, although either a tight end or a wide receiver must be on each end of the line of scrimmage. A standard formation has a tight end on one end and a wide receiver on the left. WR, wide receiver, optional, but universally used in most starting lineups, except for at the lowest youth levels. A wide receiver can be a flanker or slot back lined up behind the line of scrimmage, or a split end on the end of the line. A standard lineup has two wide receivers, one flanker and one split end. There is some variation. For instance, teams that rely more on passing may not use a fullback and start three wide receivers. Defense. In recent history, the 4-3 defense formation has been standard among college and professional squads. However, the 3-4 formation is becoming more popular among professional and NCAA Division I teams. Unlike offenses, defenses have no restrictions on positions, and the standard lineups have developed largely through tradition, experimentation, trial and error. DT. Depending on formation, a team may have up to 2 defensive tackles. If there is only one, he is called the nose tackle. A team has 2 defensive ends. A team can start 3 or 4 linebackers based on formation. SS. Strong safety. FS. Free safety. CB. Teams usually start 2 cornerbacks. Special teams. K. Kicker. P. Punter. PR. Punt returner. KR. Kick returner. LS. Long snapper. The National Football League counts how many times each player takes the first snap of the game. This statistic reflects offense and defense only, not special teams. A player gets credited with only one start if he should happen to be on both the offensive and defensive starting lineups yet. This is not the official starting lineup. The list of players to start the game is usually determined by the head coach of the franchise and not the league. In American college football, the official record of the game includes a game participation chart which shows the starting lineups and the other participants. The starting lineups reflect the two teams' offenses and defenses, not the kickoff teams. Association football. A starting lineup in association football consists of 11 players, with one designated goalkeeper. All other positions are optional, and teams can vary the player formations they use. The formation are often described using the numbers of defenders, midfielders and striker, attackers used. For example, a commonly used formation is 4-4-2, which means there are 4 defenders, 4 midfielders and 2 strikers. Some formations may list 4 numbers, which usually differentiates between defensive and attacking midfielders, e.g., 4-2-3-1 would mean 4 defenders, 2 defensive midfielders, 3 attacking midfielders, and 1 striker. Australian rules football. In Australian rules football, a team starts with 18 players on the field. The traditional positions are as listed below. However, in modern football the players are organised into 3 main groups: forwards, midfielders and defenders, each consisting of between 4 and 8 players. Only 4 midfielders from each team are allowed to start inside the centre square. The other 14 players can start anywhere on the field. 3 forwards, 3 half-forwards, 3 centres, 3 half-backs, 3 backs, 3 followers. Baseball. The starting lineup in baseball comprises either 9 or 10 players. In the National League of Major League Baseball and the Central League of Nippon Professional Baseball, there are 9 players in the starting lineup and all players bat. American League and Pacific League teams have the option of using a designated hitter in place of the pitcher in the batting order. The DH does not play when the team is on defense. P. Pitcher. C. Catcher. 1B. First baseman. 2B. Second baseman. 3B. Third baseman. SS. Shortstop. LF. Left fielder. CF. Center fielder. RF. Right fielder. DH. Designated hitter. In softball, the 10th position is an additional outfielder. Basketball. In the National Basketball Association, 2 starting players are traditionally announced as guards, 2 as forwards, and 1 as a center. However, technically the rules merely stipulate that a starting lineup, along with a list of substitutes, must be indicated at least 10 minutes before the game. A captain and optionally a co-captain must also be designated. When pre-game technical fouls are committed, only designated starters can be chosen to shoot any resulting free throws. The various positions are not mentioned anywhere in the official NBA rulebook, and most players play more than one position. The starting lineup on a basketball team usually comprises 5 positions and is called the 2-1-2 lineup. PG, point guard, SG, shooting guard, SF, small forward, PF, power forward, C, center. In American college basketball, a starting lineup is announced for each team before the game. Starting players are designated as either centers, forwards, or guards. A team can name at most 1 center, but otherwise any combination of positions is allowable, as long as 5 players are named. Lineups of 3 guards, 1 forward, and 1 center, or of 3 guards and 2 forwards, are the most common alternate lineups. Canadian football. In Canadian football, a team starts with 12 players on offense, 12 players on defense, and a special teams squad of 12 players for punts, kickoffs, and extra point attempts. As in American football, most of the special teams players are starters or bench players for offense or defense. Because of substantial differences between the 2 codes, most notably the larger field and only having 3 downs to advance the ball 10 yards, instead of 4, offensive formations are somewhat different in the Canadian game. Most notably, tight ends are almost completely absent in Canada. Offense QB, quarterback, explicitly mandatory until 2009, effectively mandatory since then. RB, running back, optional, but almost universally used, especially in a starting lineup. Note that the term halfback in Canada refers to a defensive position and is not used in regard to a running back. FB, fullback, optional, C, center, mandatory, LG, RG, left and right guards on either side of the center, mandatory, LT, RT, left and right tackles on either end of the five-man offensive line, mandatory, SB, slot back, a similar position to the wide receiver, but lines up closer to the interior lineman and just off the line of scrimmage. WR, wide receiver. Canadian football typically does not use tight ends, and so wide receivers are almost always split ends. Defenses are broadly similar to those in the US, with the extra player used as a defensive back. Since most of the positions are essentially identical to those in American football, only the main differences will be listed here. Safety, plays mainly deep pass support. Roughly corresponds to the free safety in the American game. DH, defensive halfback, generally assigned to cover the slot back when in man-to-man coverage. Most formations will use two halfbacks. Roughly corresponds to the strong safety in the American game. Special teams positions generally similar to those in the US. Gaelic football and hurling. Gaelic football and hurling, as well as ladies Gaelic football and camogie, use the same starting lineup. Teams consist of one goalkeeper and 14 outfield players. Teams line up in 6 lines, with the goalkeeper furthest back and the full forward line closest to the opposing team's goal. Players play on the left or right of the field looking in the direction they are attacking. Position numbering is fixed and positions are set up so that every attacker has a corresponding defender. For example, a right corner forward will be marked by a left cornerback. Players sometimes swap positions during a match, and there are sometimes tactical variations in formation, such as dropping one of the 6 forwards back to provide a third midfielder. Up to 5 substitutions are allowed during normal time, from a bench of 9 or sometimes 11 substitutions. Substitutions are not numbered in any particular order. Goalkeeper, right cornerback, fullback, left cornerback, right halfback, center back, left halfback. 2 midfielders, right half forward, center forward, left half forward, right corner forward, full forward, left corner forward. Hurling and camogie. The starting lineup in hurling or camogie is the same as that for Gaelic football. Ice hockey. In ice hockey, a team starts out with 6 players on the ice. 2 defensemen, a goaltender, 3 forwards, a center, a left winger, a right winger. The starting forwards are typically known as the top line or first line, as most professional teams rotate 4 distinct 3-man forward lines and 3 defense pairings. Lacrosse. The starting lineup in field lacrosse comprises 10 players. 3 attack men, 3 defensemen, 3 midfielders, and 1 goalkeeper. A team may start a long stick midfielder for a defensive advantage. A team may have a player reserved exclusively to take face-offs, known as a fogo. Attack men. D. Defenseman. M. Midfielder. G. Goalkeeper. LSM. Long stick midfielder. Fogo. Face-off specialist. Face-off get-off. Netball. In netball, a team starts with 7 players on the court. GS. Goal shooter. Guard. Goal attack. WA. Wing attack. C. Center. WD. Wing defense. GD. Goal defense. GK. Goalkeeper. Rugby league. A rugby league football starting lineups is 1 fullback, 2 and 5 wingers, 3 and 4 centers, 6 standoff, 7 halfback, 8 and 10 front row forwards, 9 hooker, 11 and 12 second row forwards, 13 lock forward. Rugby union starting lineups consist of 2 props 1 and 3, hooker 2, 2 locks 4 and 5, 2 flankers 6 and 7, number 8, scrum half 9, fly half 10, 2 wings 11 and 14, 2 centers 12 and 13, fullback 15. Volleyball. The starting lineup for a volleyball match typically includes 1 setter, 2 outside hitters, 1 opposite hitter, 2 middle blockers, Variations do exist. Sometimes there will be 2 setters, or 3 outside hitters without a true opposite. Though the libero is typically announced with the starting lineup, he or she is not considered to be part of it, as the libero will replace one of the above players before the first rally.